Hi everybody and welcome to the webinar for Access Information on Events Operations. Today we're going to be following straight on from our previous webinar where we focused on assessments 1 and 2, and today we're focusing on assessments 3 and 4. So the purpose of today is to go through your assessment 3 and really look at the ISO guidelines and standards that you're going to be researching. And then we're moving on to assessment 4 where you'll be going through and using the IB program, which is an event software program that you're going to be introduced to. I do believe it's a lot of fun and it's a very handy tool for being able to create an event from beginning to end. So I'm pretty excited to get you onto that one for your assessment 4. How will the session run? So I'm going to have the unit breakdown on my screen that you'll be able to follow on through from. To get the best out of this webinar, to get the most out of the webinar, I definitely suggest downloading your assessments from the LMS and printing them out if you like to take notes. As I previously said, I'm pretty old school with that. I like to write everything down. So that's the way that I would learn best, is to be able to take notes and be able to look back on them as well. Otherwise, you can feel free to just run through the webinar with me and the unit breakdown that we're using. What happens after the webinar? After this webinar, you'll go ahead and you'll go and complete your assessments 3 and 4, keeping in mind that I'm definitely happy to look through any drafts that you've got or point you in the right direction if you're a little bit stuck. I'm happy to answer any questions, so feel free to always call me, text me, or email me if you need any help. But hopefully after this, you complete it, you submit it, and you get that big green tick that we're all after. So let's get started on your assessment 3. So with this one, the overview really is, we're still following on from the previous previous assessment, So with assessment 2, you did a research assessment on a specific event. That's still going to continue on in assessment 3, where you're going to be looking at any kind of sustainability guidelines that your event is following through on. And assessment 4 is going to take you into new territory, which is going to be you designing an event as per the scenario and using the IB software provided for you as well. It's a really great introductory assessment and a little bit of an introduction to the software, because you'll be using that later on in your diploma as well to create another event. So on to assessment 3. So we've got the unit breakdown in front of us again. So in assessment 3, you're going to be required to demonstrate that you can integrate your previous knowledge of your last event and of the Australian event industry, as well as a quality assurance process that's going to be as part of that. So you can choose to either choose a different large event that you find more interesting, or that you've personally experienced and that you want to analyze with the environmental and social sustainability practices of that event, or your first option is to just continue on from assessment 2. And use the same event that you previously researched. So up to you how you want to do it. If you definitely want to go into a different direction, find a different event that you are passionate about, feel free to use option 2 and research that one for this purpose. Always continue on with your previous one. So you're going to provide a summary report of approximately 600 words. So you're going to examine the sustainability of your chosen event with the following guidelines. So sustainability is just really looking at being able to, with your longevity of the event, sustain things like the environment and the economy and everything as well. So what kind of sustainability does your event have? So you're going to outline the ISO standards and the Australian standards, AS, applicable to your event, and explain the benefits of adhering to those standards. What you really need to do here is do some online research of the ISO standards, get an understanding of what they actually are, and what they, how they work with events, and then detail which standards are applicable to your chosen event. I've got a little tip here of going to a specific website. So one that I find really useful is the ISO.org website, where you can go for standards. And they've got some really excellent information on popular standards that you might not have thought of that were needing to actually be in place for an event. So definitely start there if you're having a little bit of trouble, but get more of an understanding here as well. So with the outlining of the ISO standards in question A, you can definitely start off with a little a sentence or two, just telling me what the ISO standards are and what the purposes are. Why are they so important for an event? And they go on to detail which standards are applicable to your chosen one. Now you can think of things like your electrical standards and your noise standards. So like I previously said in the other webinar about noise pollution, so there may be some kind of standard that's in place for your specific venue or your specific event where the venue is held, or the event is held, and what that means for your event. So does it need to shut off by a certain time? Is it not allowed to play on a certain day, for instance? Anything like that. So you just want to have a look at your standards and then describe to me which ones are applicable to your event. Moving on from there, we're going to look into question B, which is describing your event's current sustainability practices in relation to the topics below. So we're really looking more about whether the event meets any like environmental standard requirements, legal, ethical requirements, or anything like that. So I've got a little URL for information to help you with understanding what a sustainable event management is. And you just want to consider the following topics. You don't need to look at all of these. So there's 7 of them. You don't need to discuss all of them. You want to discuss maybe 4 as a minimum. That's my recommendation here. So you want to have a look at something like green purchasing, waste minimization, energy efficiency, water conservation, emissions reduction, biodiversity, or social and economic development, including high impact areas. So with green purchasing, you can also look into anything like a green card. So a green card is something that, or a green checklist, sorry, is something that events have been starting to implement. So it's a checklist of where they can say that they are now efficient, energy efficient or environmentally friendly events. So they'll have a checklist where they need to tick off their, how they're reducing waste or how they're minimizing waste, how they're getting rid of that. How they're being efficient on energy, how they're conserving water, and that's information that should be publicly available. So if your event is running with a green checklist, that's something that they'll definitely advertise out there and make that public information for them. So you really want to have a look at the sustainability practices specifically for your event. Have they got any kind of schemes in place? Is there anything that they've got as well with sponsorship? So is there sponsors that are green friendly or environmentally friendly? Is that like the kind of way that they're going for it? Do they implement a green checklist, yes or no? You can also make recommendations that if they don't, that maybe they should. What are their actual water conservation practices and how do they minimize waste? So you don't need to discuss all the topics as I said earlier, but you will need to discuss a minimum of 4. So to go back up to the ISO standards, we will just have a look at the website. So you can have a little bit of a look at that. So this is the International Organization for Standardization website. So this is the link that I put through to you in your little tips. So this is what it should look like. You'll be able to find some information on what the actual standards are. They've got information on what the benefits are, whether you run a business or you work for a company or government or want to know how the standards contribute to your products and services. So you'll be able to find some benefits of what they are. Standards that are currently in action and the popular standards. So the popular standards is what I would recommend you to have a look at. So this is going to have the things like your quality management, any environmental management and everything else. So they're just giving you the codes. When you're discussing what standards are applicable to your specific event, you want to use the code as well. So ISO 20121 for sustainable events, for instance. So this is how you're going to manage the social, economic and environmental impacts of your event with this particular standard. So you'll be able to click into these that you think are relevant to your event and be able to find some more information about these as well. But this is a really handy little website to keep in mind for any future research, as well as being able to keep up to date with the event industry, which is something that this unit is massively focused on. When you're going back into question B to have a look at what your sustainability practices are, one of my recommendations for this as well is to have a look, just even in Google research, into event green checklists. I believe that it's Yale that is currently looking to push through a green checklist certification for events to just really push through the minimizing the carbon footprint essentially of all the events that are running around the world. So that's something that you might want to look at as well as kind of like a background information I guess benefit for you as well. So you'll be able to go through that and have a look at how that affects any kind of waste minimization or energy efficiency as well with an event. Again, with this, it doesn't specify, but I would definitely recommend, again, putting in the bibliography as it's a very useful skill as being able to put it into this again. So tell me where you found any more information. Where did you find the information about your specific event with the green checklist, especially if you've got a brand new event that you haven't previously researched. So if it's a different event that you've chosen for this specific assessment, feel free to put in your little sources of information. I do like to see where you guys get your information from. So yeah, that'd be a really handy little thing. So moving on to assessment 4. So this is the lucky last for this unit. So as per the background information, you're an event manager with Talking Events Property Limited. So with this, you're going to hold your event with the Ivy software. So this is where you're going to start creating everything. What I've done is I've created your sessions for this, which will be downloadable on your LMS. They're PDF documents, so you've got 2 sessions. They're quite large documents, so I probably wouldn't recommend printing them while we're talking about energy efficiency and environmentally friendly stuff. So don't print them. They are massive, but they do give you a step-by-step information on how to do something within Ivy. So Ivy is quite a big software program. Once you get into there, once you're up to this unit, you should receive an email with your login details. It's a very nice website. It's very pink, very easy to use, and it's I think it's really valuable. So definitely have a look at the sessions first to get all the background information that you need on how to operate Ivy, and then move on to your requirements for this assessment. The really great thing about the assessment here is that it does give you step-by-step instructions on how to create this event. As I said earlier, this is an introductory assessment on how to use Ivy. So later on, when you're using it for your next unit, your registrations unit, you won't have this really. So you'll be able to use your information again from your sessions and come back to this and remember how you've done all of that. So it's pretty handy that way. So you're going to log into the Ivy website. So I'll pull that up for you now. So this is the login page to your Ivy. So you'll have your account, which should be the same, but this is all the information in your email that you'll receive. So we'll just log into our accounts and you'll come into your homepage. So as you can see, I've got some events that I've already been using over the past couple of months and everything, just to help play around with the system and everything as well. So this is your homepage. This is where you're going to start being able to create all of your events. So we're going to be able to create an event through here and follow the steps in your assessment. But just so this isn't all a shock, it's very pink, and it's your first look at Ivy, which is pretty exciting stuff. So once you've created your event in Ivy and everything, just using the step-by-step process in your assessment, so adding the venue name and all of that good stuff, what you want to do is take a screenshot of your venue and your event. So venue name, and capture everything into a Word document or a PDF. Unfortunately, with Ivy, because it's all with your own user, I won't be able to go into Ivy and see your event. So for any assessments that you're using Ivy for, please remember to screenshot. And it's also a really good idea to label your screenshots. So sometimes, because the website does, look alike, very much everything is quite formatted the same. It can be quite confusing if you're putting a lot of snapshots into one page. So if you want to label your snapshots with what the screen actually is, or what your information is going to be in there, what the point of that screenshot is, essentially. So you want to have that screenshot, label it, and then give me a short paragraph in this assessment here of the benefits of using this technology for organizing an event. So did you find it useful? I really want to hear your feedback on Ivy as well. It's something that's brand new to us. We've only been using it for this course. So I find it incredible to use. So I'd love to hear your feedback as well. So in your little paragraph, tell me, did you find it helpful? If you did, why? What were your favorite parts about it? If you didn't find it helpful, again, why did you not find it helpful? What kind of feedback would you be able to give for Ivy, or what would you want to see in a software program that you're using to organize an event? What would your perfect program really look like? And what could you see as being the #1 draw card for businesses for this type of software? Why do you think that businesses would really want to buy into it, essentially? So once you've done that, then that's it. That is your assessments all done for access information. So you've knocked off another unit here, which is amazing. These two are quite smaller than the other, especially assessment 2, than the other ones. So still definitely do your research and everything with these ones. Put in your source list. Feel free to link me to everything that you've used. I really love to see where you guys get your information from and where you've been researching. But it's still very much a smaller report than your 1200 one from assessment 2. So just to recap all of these ones here, assessment 3, you're going to be looking at your ISO standards and your Australian standards applicable to your chosen event, whether that's an event that you previously worked with in assessment 2, or if it's a brand new assessment that you're working in for this one. So an event that you may have attended and you really loved it, so you really want to talk about it, totally fine. In 600 words, you're going to tell me what the standards are and which ones are applicable to your event and what the benefits would be of adhering to those standards. And you're going to describe to me the current sustainability practices that are in place for your event. So again, we're not going to cover off on all 7 of them. Choose 4 or 5 and discuss them about what's happening in your event currently. Feel free to make recommendations if they are not green friendly or environmentally friendly. Does your event implement a green checklist? If yes, perfect. Tell me a little bit more about what they've currently got going on in there. And if they don't, would you recommend them to choose one? Then assessment 4, you're going to log into your Ivy your Ivy website with the details that you would have been emailed. And then you're going to go ahead and read these sessions 1 and 2 on your LMS, the big PDF documents. Again, I strongly recommend do not print them. They probably cost about $1 each. So you definitely want to look through them. They've got really valuable information on how to run the website and the software and how to use everything. So it's the user guide essentially, with screenshots as well. With this one as well, you're going to follow the step-by-step requirements of your assessment. So follow them all the way from 1 to 9. Take a screenshot of your venue name and your event and make sure that you label that screenshot so it's really easy for me to see where it's come from, what it is. And then write a short paragraph on the benefits of using this technology for organizing an event. I also want to really hear your feedback on it. So in this as well, do a paragraph, what are the benefits of using this, and did you find it helpful or not? And if you didn't, what would your perfect software program look like? And then that brings us to the end of your access information unit, which is very exciting stuff. So we are going to move this one here. We've done the recap because we're totally efficient. Where to from here? So from here, you guys are going to submit your assessments, hopefully, and get that big green tick that we've been waiting for. With this as well, you're going to make sure that you have answered all the questions. You've got your source list done and dusted, especially for assessment 2 where it's required. And then assessment 1. If you have any questions or concerns or anything at all, feel free to get in contact with me. My number will be on the screen momentarily and my email address as well. Again, I'm more than happy to look at drafts for you guys. If you're needing any feedback to help you on your way to greatness and everything, that's totally fine, as well as just pointing you guys in the right direction. So questions, concerns? Yep, that's what I just said. And then, so these are my details. So again, text me, call me, or just email me with the questions, your drafts, or any kind of feedback that you have, especially with the Ivy program. While we love it here and everything else, I'm definitely interested to hear what you guys want to say about it. So support available to you. Always get in touch with your mentors if you are having any issues or you have any questions or if you just get stuck on something. And otherwise, feel free to get in contact with me. And I will see you in the next webinar, which is going to be your effective leadership cluster. So once you've completed your assessments, submitted them, and got that big green tick, I'll see you in the next webinar where we're going to be talking about your leadership skills. Thanks so much, guys. I'll see you next time.